Hello, hello. Mark Atwood here. How you doing? What's the show called? Oh yeah, the Mark Atwood Show: Adventures in a Cosmic Suit. That won the award for the shortest YouTube channel title in this living room in 1988. Yeah, what a day! I've got some very interesting stuff. I'm just on my Telegram account here. I'm going live again today at 6 p.m. GMT, which is about 1 p.m. Eastern, and I don't know what that is, about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I think, maybe. If you're on the Pacific side of America, check your own local time zones. That's going to be a good show. And so is this one. But I want to bring to your attention some things that we've said. I've just got to play you this. If you haven't seen this, I'm going to play it.
So Joe made a promise, if you remember, back on the campaign trail. He made this promise to rebuild the middle class. It's why he ran, and it's the North Star that has guided his...
I hope you all heard that. Did you all hear that? Let me know in the comments if you heard that. Hello, Cheryl Diamond Murray. Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning. It's afternoon here, Cheryl. I know you've just woken up. Hello, Kristen Swarchek. Hello, Julie Geranium. Hello, Patty Adams. Hello, Andrew Mills. Hello, Tanya Thompson. Tanya Chambers, do you have a job, Tanya? You're always on these lives. How do you do that? Did you not, I'm taking the piss. Bitten Salad. Hello from Denmark. Hello. Nebraska. Sherry. Hello, Sherry. Oh, good. You did hear that. Right. Okay. So, yeah, I thought that was too funny not to share. What else was there? There's very interesting stuff all over the papers today with this is Seamus Begley, who died recently, who spoke out against all the nonsense. So rest in peace, Seamus. And I am sharing news like this on Telegram. It is terrible news to hear of children just dying suddenly. But the thing is, we need to share this information. We need to, and this is from the family of this particular 18-year-old girl, Trista, which is just shocking. And how these sons of bitches can just, the media, how can they defend? How can they even pretend that it's normal for kids to just drop dead? It's mind-blowing. This is a good post from SG Anon, 144 truths. Go and read those if you can. Get on my Telegram channel. So Andrew Bridgen MP is being besmirched all over the newspapers today in the UK because he compared to the hollow, something that rhymes with Bollopost. So I decided to go onto Twitter and post this poem, which I can't put on YouTube for obvious reasons. If you know, it's not really a poem. It's more of something I did when I had a few beers one night and got me into a lot of trouble in America playing this on stage. But it still makes me laugh, and I think it makes most of you laugh. So yeah. And I'm just testing Twitter's free speech algorithm. I don't expect to last too long there. And the thing about Serco, which is Prince William owns Serco. Did you know that? There's Andrew Bridgen. Now, I've said he's a white hat MP in the UK here, but maybe not, because apparently he's on interviews all over the internet, still believing in the V, but the rhymes with iris. I'm gonna have to bring out a whole new dictionary. So people who believe in that nonsense, it's just amazing, isn't it? People believing in that. You can't catch it, and it's never been isolated. And they're 2.5 years in, and there's still people wearing masks in the hospitals and on the planes. What the fuck? But anyway, enough of me jabbering. I want to say, by the way, I've just finished the second workshop with Ian Welch, which was amazing today. It was amazing on Monday as well, the first one. And we're going to put a third one up, hopefully later, if I have time. But I've got a lot of shows to do today, so I might not have time today, but definitely tomorrow. Look out for that. Make sure you're on my email list, which the link is below this video. This Love Star Energy Healing Workshop that Ian's doing is profound. It's having profound effects on people on the workshops as well. you know, and we'll be charging the same. If you haven't got any money, it's free. If you can afford it, pay. It's not about the money. I want to help Ian build. Ian doesn't care about money, but he does have this farmland down in Cornwall, and he's trying to build. He wants to build a centre there for healing. So that's why we're charging for it, so that he can do that. And Kate is awake. Says it was a brilliant session today. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? And Julie Geranium. Yeah, I was just in the loo. I know it's too much information, but I was in the loo and they got a mirror in there, and I was just like vibrating like crazy after the workshop, which is amazing. When am I going to add? Shannon, I just explained when I'm going to add another. Hopefully later, if not tomorrow. Can you not hear me? Right, I've got a special guest today who's been on the show before, and that's Brian Timlin. Hi, Brian. How you doing?
Mark, how are you?
Good. So subscribers will know that you are the author of Lightworker No.17, the book that we talked about last time you were on. You're also a fellow inhabitant of this Green Isle.
That's right, yeah. So I have the Great Awakening novel, and I now have a learning program called the Quantum Learning Program.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. What's how did this come about, and what is it?
Well, it came about first of all because I was very good in primary school, and then I went into secondary school and I switched off because I didn't like the way they were. The system is to pour information into people like they're a blank slate, and I just switched me off probably because I realized that on some level or whatever, you know. And then basically over till now, like, which is 20 years later or more, I've been studying, you know, how we should be learning, how we should be educating the kids, how the brain really operates, how we can self-develop in that way, you know. It's like an extension of self-development, but specifically for education and brain development and learning, you know.
We'll go into that in a bit more detail, but I just want to show you and everybody else that I got a download about this nearly 2 years ago, and if you go to YouTube and type in quantum education, you'll see I'm number 3 there, talking about.
You showed me that, before, yeah.
I showed you that before.
Yeah.
God, I shouldn't do close-ups like that. Yeah, I mean, it's where we're going to go. I mean, I've been forced into because of my marital situation, forced into agreeing to continue to let the kids go to school. Plus, the kids really want to go to school because of their friends, and it's extremely difficult to tear them away from that. But the system here is shocking, and it's shocking in the UK. I mean, I remember in the UK, the kids came home one day and they'd had, apart from what they're being taught, is, I mean, I do tell my kids every day. I don't say how was school. I say how was prison, and I don't say what did you learn today. I say what did you get indoctrinated with today. And if I drop them off at school, I say don't believe anything you hear, including this, or question everything you hear. So I'm trying my best all the time, and they kind of find it funny now because they know that. But you know, like the stresses that, you know, my daughter was under massive stress for her exams recently, and she started crying, and I was like, "Why are you crying? You don't. These exams are
particularly they get very stressed about it.
It's completely meaningless. These exams are completely meaningless.
They're meaningless, but at the same time, you know, you can still ace your exams and develop all your intelligence at the same time, which is what my course is about. So you can be in that system. Like, this is the quantum learning program. It's not the quantum education program.
Yeah.
So basically, this is the how to learn, how our brains really operate. But the quantum education system, whenever that comes in, that will be probably, you know, well, it will be teaching different things than we've been taught about science and history and different things, geography, etc. But the quantum learning program, they're still going to have to use the how of how our brains actually operate and develop people in the right way. because it goes back to Socrates. Like Socrates used to ask people questions. He used to draw them out on their own perceptions. So they were self-expressing. So they were very interested in the topic. They would connect it to the rest of their knowledge, and they were developing their brains, and they were developing the behavior of being perceptive and questioning things and getting to the truth, you know. And this is the opposite of what they're doing at school.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't suggesting that you'd launched a quantum education system. That is, to me, an idea that I have and a few other people that I've interviewed and stuff have had about the future of education. What you've done is put something together that helps increase the IQ of the child and the speed at which they learn to get through these exams or this system with less pressure, correct?
Yeah, but it would also like develop the person. So there's two intelligences at school, verbal and mathematical, that they're very focused on, and they're ignoring the other 6 intelligences, and it's deliberate. Like
left versus right brain, isn't it?
Yeah. So like my program is developing the whole brain and all 8 intelligences. So it's actually preparing them for life much better as well, because they'll be able to question the world. They'll be able to stand up for their rights, because, you know, people that are not aware, they're afraid of their own mind. They can't trust themselves. And so it's not just about getting A's at school. It's also about getting A's in when you go into life situations, and when you like not enough people have figured out what's happened in the last 2 years on their own.
Oh, it's amazing. 2.5 years and the biggest IQ test, biggest IQ test in history.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say, most of you failed.
But IQ only measures verbal and mathematical, so it's an intelligence test, not really an IQ test. Yeah.
Okay, I stand corrected, Brian. You are
I'm getting into semantics, but yeah.
No, you're right. It's good to pull me up on it because
because there's people with very high IQ that have 3 masks on.
Yeah, I know.
You know, so like.
Good point. Well made.
Yeah.
I saw one with two on the other day, and I literally burst into tears of laughter right in front of him, and he was looking at me like, "What's he laughing at?"
Sure, I was telling somebody about a year and a half ago. I was in the supermarket here in Galway, and there was a guy wearing a gas mask.
What?
He was wearing like it even had the Herman Munster things coming out the side, like.
Oh my God!
And I was looking at him, and he was looking at me, and we were like.
Well, did I tell you about the Patrick's Day parade here in March last year? There were 2 kids dressed as very expensive costumes as well. You know, they didn't look cheap. Very, very well made. I'll give them that. The Satanists are good quality. You know, they're good at this. And behind these 2 kids, one guy in a long brown leather coat that went right down to his feet and a gas mask. Very satanic. Very kind of thing you'd expect somebody to be wearing at a Rothschild's party. And the other guy was dressed as Kronos, which is, for those of you that don't know, Kronos represents Saturn, which is Satan. And old Father Time is really Satan. And there they were, just right in the between the tractors.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's right in your face. I'm just going to show everybody your page so you can talk us through it. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah, there's 10 modules on the course.
Yeah, let's have a look at it.
Yeah.
How to increase your child's IQ and other intelligences by 40 points or more. So
it says 30 there. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Why did I say 40? That's weird. I think it's because I'm in 5D at the moment, and it's
maybe it is. Maybe it should be 40 or more. So
maybe it should. Yeah.
Yeah.
How to ace your exams with 5D learning, measurably and drastically. I can't read, Brian. Drastically. Can I come on this course? Drastically increase your IQ.
You're still in the in Welsh.
Yeah, I am. That's what I'm saying. I'm still.
Yeah.
This you got to change IQ to intelligence.
Well, I said IQ and other intelligences because people know about IQ, you know. So
what Brian has put together here is brilliant. If people knew exactly how to really develop their mind, brain, and hearts, it's so powerful. And then to apply it specifically to learning difficulties and to really flourish within the existing educational system as well. That's a wow for me. If you haven't got this program, and your kids will be missing a big part of the puzzle. That's very nice, Zoe. Excuse me. Do you want to talk through this?
Yeah. Well, I start going through here about basically what we've gone through, which was a really educational system that was just pouring information into us, brainwashing us, and some of us have got extricated ourselves from it, but most people don't. And we have a real chance here now to start creating the new world through various things, and this is one of the things we need to do, which is get children to be confident at school and in life situations where, I mean, there's so many kids that they don't think they're smart, and they are smart. It's just that they've got into a situation where maybe they're not naturally gifted at maths or whatever, but they're probably very bright in other ways. And if they learned how to learn properly, they'd actually get really good at maths as well, and they'd be developing the rest of them. And then they'd be confident at school, and they wouldn't have that thing in their head when they leave school that, oh, I'm not this and I'm not that. Like, it's good to get, even though the system isn't great, it's not good. Kids can gain a lot of confidence by being good at that as well as being good in real life,
Yeah, well, every kid is born a genius, and that gets knocked out of us very quickly. Yeah. Within the first 7 years, most of our beliefs about ourselves are kind of set. But, I do tell, just for guys watching this, I did homeschooling for about 3.5 years in Morocco. And my kids we did use a curriculum, and they were years ahead. And as soon as they came to Ireland, they just regressed. Just because of the nature of the system. Everything Brian's saying is right. The system is, it's not designed. It's designed to create, what's the line? I think it was
robots. It's designed to create robots.
Yeah, Rockefeller said we want people just intelligent enough to operate the machines, but not so intelligent that they ask why. Something along those lines.
Exactly. Yeah. And I go through that in the book, all of that stuff. It's in the program. It's like they want people that are good at avoiding grammatical errors and are able to do pretty good at doing their sums, and that's it.
Yeah. Well,
and can memorize things.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't need memories with search engines, do we? How you are capable of miles more than you believe. I think that's so true. And there's a great it's so much to do with beliefs, right, Brian?
Yeah, that's the first module, bad beliefs.
Yeah. So I'm going to do a little I'm just going to do a little thing for everybody watching, and I'll you guys watching this. What I want you to do is stand up. You might want to do this, Brian. Stand up and hold your hand out like this, and with your eyes open, point back as far as you can, stretch as far as you can, and remember exactly what you're pointing at. Done that? Done that, Brian?
Yeah.
Now do the same thing, but with your eyes closed. And then open your eyes when you're as far as you can and see if you're further than you were when you did it with your eyes open.
Yeah, I was, yeah.
Yeah, because it's all belief. When your eyes lie to you, and that's a great one to do at seminars because everybody goes, "Oh my God," I hope you all did that. Hope you guys
your beliefs then.
Yeah, so beliefs are really a really big part of it, and the problem is we hand over so much of our time with our kids to the state, to the system. Yeah. They change, and then so it's a real battle for parents, I think. What other benefits have we got listed here? How to remove the noise and bad beliefs that get in the way of that. Brilliant. How do you do that?
Well, the first thing really is that I'll give you an example. My daughter Hannah, she's 12 now. About 4 years ago, she used to say all the time, "I'm just not good at maths, Dad." And I said, I knew that wasn't true. Like, that I've seen her when she focuses, she's able to do it, So I said to her, the only reason that you're not getting A's is because you're letting yourself get distracted and you're not focusing. And if you just put the work in, keep focused pay attention when they're going through the things, you'll be able to get the A's. And the reason she wasn't paying attention because she had this belief that came from somewhere that she just wasn't good at maths. So when I started telling her that she was smart and that it was just down to ABC, you need to do this, this, and this, and you'll get the results. And then she started to see that when she did it. So that was like just something as small as that. She was in remedial class 3 times a week for maths. Then it was 1 time a week the next year, and now it's 0. And her results have gone from F's, D's, C's, B's, and the odd A to basically all A's in maths.
That's fantastic.
And that's only just like, and people say, oh, don't put too much expectation, but it like that was a realistic expectation because she was already getting some A's and I knew she could do it. So that it was realistic. So it does need to be realistic to begin, reach one goal before you reach another goal. But she that was realistic for her. And if she came back with a bad result, I didn't get mad at her. So we just went, okay, why did this happen? And okay, let's correct that and work on that. And then she correct that, and then she was getting an A in that. So it's like just simple. That's the basic one. Then if it's like just working through the reality of, so they can see, be more aware of, like, this is just what you need to do, and don't have, that's obviously not helping you, that belief that you have, or that's the first basic one. Then the second one would be, if somebody has more entrenched belief that they're really stupid or whatever, that would take probably mind body techniques as well, because it's a trauma situation as well. They've had a lot of failures probably and stuff, and there might be some developmental issues which we go through in the program as well, and all the causes that I found of those. I believe we've covered the gamut, because I've studied it for so long, that you can have brain wiring problems, which would be to do with physical exercise that need to be done, getting better at balance and things like that. Just the way the brain operates, we're sensory beings of movement. So movement is actually very important as well, and that the sensory parts of the brain are developed, and we go through that. So the foundation of brain wiring, you might have to get rid of some traumas. It could be a heavy metal issue, and it could be a breath span issue. Breath span is very important to being able to pay attention. You pay attention to something. Yeah, if just pay attention to something right now, Mark, and see what happens to your breath. You hold your breath. So your breath span, how long you can hold your breath, is actually really important to reading and being able to extract the meaning from a sentence, particularly a long sentence, and the ability to put 2 different stimuli together to realize how they're related. So breath span, when somebody's short of breath, if they go for a year to track and field, sometimes their IQ jumps 40 points from that alone, because now they can put 2 things together without it being cut off.
Yeah. Well, oxygen to the brain as well, isn't it? That's what it's
about. Like there's other factors, circulation as well. And so sometimes it's developmental as well. So you'd start with the mind, you start with the belief, and you'd set a realistic goal of improvement. First of all, you just say to them, you can improve. Like, you'd say a kid that's really bottom of the class, you'd say you can improve, because they won't even believe they can improve, first of all. Yeah. So you get into them and say, you can improve, and I'm going to show you how to improve, and you're way smarter than you know, and we're going to bring you up step by step. And then you'd have them, first of all, just have that belief that they can improve, then start the developmental stuff, so they start to see results and they start to feel more confidence, and it's gradually they're going, oh geez, I am improving, and then you'll reach a baby goal, and then another goal, and suddenly that kid will be revolutionized, because everybody has it's like the 2 legs, 2 arms argument. Like, your brain is so malleable, it can develop if it's just done in the right way.
Well, I totally agree with that. I mean, what about, for me, school, the only reason I achieved anything at school is because I wanted to get into the Air Force, and there was like a minimum I had to get. And then that just made me very, very focused. I didn't get any external help, but I got very, very focused on, right, I reverse engineered all the exams, basically. I looked at all the old exams over the past 30 years, looked for the recurring subjects, and then realized there was a percentage of subjects in maths that were about this, or history that was about that, and then just focused on those areas.
That's what most people do when they have a specific goal in mind.
Yeah.
But the thing that the
But
problem,
not many kids have that though, do they?
no, that's another issue. Yeah, but I would start with the love of learning first of all, because if they love learning, they'll kind of just be happy getting better results and getting A's.
But that's a lot to do with teachers,
to have
though,
something,
isn't it? That's a lot to do with the teachers and the subject, because you know, I'm not very good at French, but I did hold a French class once for 3 kids, and I spent half an hour showing them Inspector Clouseau, hello, and then teaching them to remember the word for chicken was poulet by having a poo and then laying down, and they thought it was hilarious. And I thought I could have. They still remember it. Yeah, I thought I could have a career here as a teacher. But
just going back to what you were saying about when people that have a goal in mind at school, they'll do what you did. They'll kind of force themselves to be good at memorizing. They'll memorize and they'll reverse engineer the exams, all that stuff, because their goal is really just to get into their course. So what I'm saying is, if you had the content learning program back then, you could have been developing your other intelligences, like absolutely flying it on these courses, developing yourself all at the same time and get your results, rather than just going, okay, I'm going to reverse engineer this and I'm going to cram and memorize this stuff, and then you probably forgot it when you left, like, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that that's what happened to you, but that's what happens to most people, you know.
Yeah. I like this one. Let me just pull this back up. This one's so you don't see this in schools, do you? How to operate with open energy and tap into the universal consciousness.
Yeah,
that's a big one.
It is. Well, yeah.
How do you actually teach people to do that?
Well, that'd be. Do you want to go through the modules, and I'll kind of give a short summary on each one of them? There's 10 modules. If you go down, yeah, that's on that bit there, yeah. So yeah, we went through bad beliefs. So the second module is reading photographically. So reading photographically is basically getting into a Zen place, and then it's like opening. You're going into that Zen alpha, opening your energy state, and you're basically downloading the pages, and it's downloading, and it's being connected with your greater consciousness and ultimate truth, really, like that you're connecting to the ultimate.
Can I tell you something? That's exactly what I've done my whole life, and whenever I had an exam, I used to imagine that my mind was like the ocean. And the sun would be beating down on the ocean, and the water that evaporated and went into the atmosphere would be everything I needed to know about physics, or everything I needed to know about maths. And I used to sleep on the books because, and I didn't realize why I did this, but when I was in the RAF, I had a medical, I had a brain thing. They put this big colander on with all the wires coming out, and they said I had the strongest alpha waves they'd ever seen, and I thought that was a good thing at the time, but maybe it's not.
No, I'd say it's a good thing. Yeah, because it means you have the power to tap into the deeper brain waves, which is basically tapping into more of your brain.
Yeah.
Because when you're in that Zen state, like when people are reading photographically the way I describe it, they've done tests on people that are reading that way, and the whole brain is switched on. So you're bringing more of your brain to the table, if you want to put it in one sentence, like.
So how do you get a kid to get into that state? Because I find it hard. I mean, sometimes getting kids to even put their socks on is hard work. So how do you get them to get into a Zen state?
Well, you just first of all, you just get into breathing. Just breathe deeply. Let's have a quick look at the overview of the book, what it's about. Do we want to read this? Why do we want to read it? And then you set the intention. Okay, I want to get an A in my next exam in biology or whatever it is, like. So you have an intention for that Zen state as well. So your mind will zone in on what you need in the book when you go back to read it normally after that.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, getting into Zen state, so you'd do that step, then you'd be breathing deeply, and then you'd imagine that you're behind yourself and looking down over your head, reading the page, And that immediately puts you in that deeper state. And you focus on the four corners and the white spaces rather than the actual words, because the words is more left brain, you know, so you're getting into that zen, and then you're just flicking the pages and you're taking it in. Leave it 20 minutes, let it percolate, and then you go back and start reading it normally, or just going to where you feel intuitively you're being drawn to.
Cool.
Yeah. And it really works.
Just
the
explain.
Comprehension, understanding, memory goes way up.
Yeah, well, that is a technique I've used my whole life, so yeah, I vouch for that. You guys watching this, there's a link to Brian's thing underneath this video if you're interested in it. But let's keep going through. Note-taking genius. What's yeah, notes of, you know, I take notes all the time. I'm always reaching for a pen and paper.
Yeah,
it's a habit that I've had my whole life.
Well, that's why you're a high achiever, probably, Mark.
Well, you know, that's what I did. I used to teach it in business. You know, I get all the staff from the old company, and I say, look, first thing you do when you get in is you write down your list of things that you want to get done that day. Then you score them out of 10, and well, out of 100, and you put the highest ones at the top, and you just get them done. Just get it, and the ones you don't like, get them done. That's
that's more like time management and
it is, yeah.
But you probably have written down thoughts that you've come along to as well and stuff.
Yeah, well, actually, I was treated to a new journal, which I haven't had time to write anything in yet. But yes, I'm trying to write a book myself, and
oh, cool, yeah.
This is my
what kind is it? Non-fiction or?
It's called Adventures in a Cosmic Suit: The Spiritual Awakening of an Idiot.
Yeah.
Now there'll be people in the second. You're not an idiot.
I saw your Phoenix Nights episode. I used to love Phoenix Nights, and you reminded me of do you remember the Harry Enfield? Oh, you, the real angry guy. Yeah, that was a very angry character you were playing.
It was, yeah, and he was also the oldest, fattest student in history. But Peter Kay promised me the part on a train trip to London. Where he was going down for a meeting, and I happened to bump into him on the train, and I knew him anyway because we did stand up. And he said, "Do you want a part in my TV show?" Yeah, of course. And then I completely fucked up the audition. The director didn't want to give it to me, and he gave it to me. He's a very, very nice man and a genius, absolute genius.
Peter Kay is amazing. Like he was like. He has that traditional feel to him, but he's actually very progressive. You know that kind of way?
Yeah, he's a very smart man. Very smart. Yeah. I don't know what he thinks to all of this because I've not spoken to him in 20 years. But anyway, back to quantum learning, mind mapping. Now, that's
we'll do the note taking. We didn't really go through that. So
you're quite a good teacher, Brian. I feel quite naughty sometimes when you're talking to me.
All right, okay. Why do I say, hey, let me do this now? Yeah. So it's like okay, so super note taking. The difference between normal note taking and super note taking, which is just a word that I've used for it, is normally we take notes, we go through it, and all we're doing is we're writing down somebody else's thoughts. We're writing down what it says in the book or whatever. And that's a huge reason why kids switch off at school, because it's boring, it's uninspiring. It's not your thoughts, it's somebody else's thoughts on it. And it's not engaging. So instead, if you start to self-express on the topic, you start to just write down what you think about this. And there's different ways of doing that. Like the best way to do it is probably to snowball with it, like just go where it goes, you know, and be very self-expressive, because that's how we operate. Our brains we express, the environment gives us feedback, and we develop. And it's the same with note-taking. It's like the page is the feedback loop, and you're self-expressing to the page. And then even if it's rubbish that you're writing, you're actually starting to think about that topic a lot. You're becoming interested in it. And as you go along, even if what you wrote on the page is rubbish, you're starting that feedback loop. So the ideas will start to come to you in an accurate way then on the topic. And it's really interesting to you now. And you're going to remember it, because you're connecting it to the rest of your knowledge. and you're connecting to your own ideas and your own story and your own stories, and so that's huge as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and they've done brains. They cut open Einstein's brain when he gave them permission to do that when he died, and he was a massive scribbler. He wrote all his thoughts on everything down on paper. He always had a notepad with him. And what they found when they opened his brain up was the sheathing around the neurons. First of all, the neurons were the neuron maps in his brain were so complicated because he had developed his brain so much from constantly developing his own perceptions on things, that his brain was like growing at more complex and higher level all the time. So there was more of that neurology, and there was more sheathing was very strong on the brain, because obviously the body was putting all of the essential oils or whatever is needed to sheathe the neurons. He was developing that, and the body was prioritizing it.
Yeah, that's how the body works. That's why I like psychedelics, because they rewire your neurons and nootropics. I'm going to be talking to somebody about nootropics next week, but which are, yeah, it's another subject. But yeah, that's absolutely important. I've got this on the screen. Where are we in the list?
So the next one would be mind mapping.
Yeah.
So basically, when you've done your let's say we're doing a biology chapter 1 Leavenscert, and you've read it photographically, you've expressed on it extensively, so you're feeling connected to the material now, and you're making it your own. You're really remembering it, and you're connecting it. A really good thing to do after that would be to mind map it, which is to artistically create, like, it looks like bubbles basically, and you'd create a bubble in the middle, chapter 1 biology, whatever it is, and then you'd have all these offshoots coming out and other bubbles, and you'd write, okay, that's you'd write a note there, and then you connect that to another thing, and suddenly you have a map, an artistic visual representation of the material. And it's also, again, you've self-expressed that, so that's making it far more memorable to you. You're using the right brain because it's artistic, so that's using more of the brain automatically as well. And you have a visual representation, so it's easier to remember something that's visual as well. And you also have a record of your notes now in an organized fashion, so when you go back to review the material for an exam or whatever, you'll have a whole map for yourself of the material.
Yeah, I've been mind mapping my whole life as well. I think
There you go.
Yeah.
So you're doing a lot of this automatically, Mark?
Well, I kind of worked it out when I was young. These things. I'm not saying I did all of them when I was young, but I had to sort myself out, because I was not from an academic family. I was
Okay.
Nobody really cared about exams. Nobody had ever been to university in my family, and I was like, well, I've got to do this because I want to fly those planes. So it was just, that was my driving force. But yeah, and then of course I've done a huge amount of self-development work, and and I think that's really everything you're saying is absolutely true. There's a kid I saw who lives near me. He's about 16, I think, and I lent him a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teenagers, which was the follow-on from The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which is one of the best books I ever read.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, you probably read that, have you?
I actually haven't, no, but I want to, yeah.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
And sold millions as well. And I hadn't seen this kid for about I hadn't seen this kid for about 6 months, and then I bumped into him because he'd moved out of town. And he said, thanks for that book that you lent me, because now I own a percentage of this clothing company, and we've just sold out all our stock. And I was like, wow, well done. Yeah. So yeah, it is amazing what you can do with a few skills. So what's the week 5? Developing all 8 intelligences.
Yeah, this is more of a kind of a self-development, brain development exercise that you do every day, and this is to do with the greater consciousness as well. So it's like describing the images that are flowing through your mind, the random images that are just flowing through your mind right now. So like in my mind right now, there's an orange there, and I don't know what's doing there, but it's just an orange, right? So you start to describe it, but there is some meaning to it. Why there's a reason why it's there. It might be telling me to take more vitamin C or something. So if you start describing that image, that stream that's going through of these images, start describing them in sensory detail, and go through all of the different senses, like not just the visual or whatever, because that's the predominant usually, or audio, and try to stay away from explaining what you're seeing. Just to describe it in sensory terms as much as you can. And what you're doing with that is you're bringing online something that's usually unconscious. Your subconscious mind and your parts of the brain that we don't normally use. This exercise is so powerful because you're using articulation. You're getting into this. Our brain is 98% sensory based. If you look at a map of the brain's regions and all that, it's 98% sensory based. So describing the different senses, you're building like wiring from every part, connecting all of them together. And you're describing something that's usually offline, usually unconscious, and you're reinforcing the behavior of paying attention to your greater perceptions. So it's a very powerful exercise, and with this exercise, people usually do it for 10 minutes a day. 1 hour of this practice equates to IQ going up by 1 point, and it wouldn't be just IQ; it would be the other 6 intelligence as well. There's not really tests for them, but it would be the equivalent of them as well, because people have found that all their intelligence starts to increase. So for every hour of that practice, they usually do 10 minutes a day. So in 1 week, you're probably going up 1 IQ point straight away. And over 6 months, if somebody's doing that, the results are spectacular. Like they're developing the brain directly developing the connecting all the regions and getting them to communicate, and very powerful. Yeah.
Basically the exact opposite of what's happening in schools today.
Yeah, they're trying to squelch that creative.
Okay, what's the next one? Foundational brain wiring.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. That we're because it's to do with evolution, how the brain has evolved. So we're essentially sensory beings of movement. Our brain is 98% sensory based, and it's hugely to do with movement and physical abilities and foundational brain wiring as well. So if there's any gap in that brain wiring, it can cause learning difficulties, or it can be hard for people to optimize their learning ability and their perceptive ability. So there was a thing out years ago, and it's probably still going, called Brain Gym. And that was used a lot, and I think they even brought it into the school system a little bit, or some good teachers were bringing it in on the side kind of thing. And it was basically like teaching kids to be able to balance and doing different exercises to develop proprioception. Sorry, I might be pronounced that right. It's hard one to pronounce. Proprioception, is it?
I'm not sure.
It's knowing where your limbs are and your body is in space in relation to the environment. So all these exercises can develop these skills. What would be the other ones? Geez, I'm blanking a bit now. But it's basically like things like eye tracking ability as well. The ability to track things with your eyes and the depth perception.
Yeah.
So balance exercises and like learning how to juggle, or playing table tennis, because table tennis, your eyes have to dart all the time, and your hand-eye coordination, of course, that's the other one. And yeah, so if somebody was to, you don't have to get brilliant at these things. It's just if somebody's lacking the basics of them, the foundational brain wiring isn't there, and it just causes learning difficulties. So that's another one where that has a big difference. And there's even like professional sports people would optimize these things as well for obviously getting better at their specific sport. But for learning difficulties, getting the foundation of that, being able to balance, stand on one leg for a minute and close your eyes and stand on one leg, that kind, all these different exercises, they have a big difference, believe it or not. Yeah.
I still do those things when there's nobody around.
You see, you're intuitive, Mark. You intuit.
You could if you creep around the back of this house and look through the kitchen window, you could often see me sit there on one leg with my eyes closed, seeing how long I can do it for.
This is crazy, man. You keep saying, "Look, I do that anyway."
No, it's funny. I do.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd not read all of this beforehand either, so
Yeah.
So what about? Yeah, no, I think this is really interesting. Hydration, nutrition, sleep, heavy metals, breath span. It never really, I was looking at, they've started giving the kids in the schools in this town free lunches. And my kids were saying, they've got this pasta that's really dry. And I'm like, this, none of it's healthy.
Yeah.
It's the same as hospital food. You go to hospital, which I don't recommend anybody does. But whenever I've been in, I remember when my nan was in hospital dying, and they were giving her Ribena, no sugar Ribena, which was full of aspartame. They were giving her Mr. Kipling's cakes and all this crap. Why can't people see the link between these really, really simple things? Why haven't the schools all got proper water filters in? The people in these schools aren't even thinking about this stuff.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just following orders, and that's it.
I know.
Yeah. It's sad, but that's what's going to change. Yeah, and
it is. It is, and it's why I talk to people like you, because people like you and Lewis Herms last night, and lots of other wonderful people out there that I'm trying to get hold of, are doing something about it now.
Yeah, because we need to create it as well.
That's what I'm saying. That's what this is all about. Us taking action and doing something now.
Yeah.
And I did get asked by Kate's Awake why I'm not homeschooling my kids. I thought I answered that earlier. It's you can't win every battle, Kate, especially in the middle of this kind of thing. And I'm in a estranged, separated from the mother of my children, and it's very, very difficult to make decisions like that when you have not got a homogenous agreement. So that's the reason why.
They want to go to school as well. Like my daughter, we were putting her down for the secondary schools, and I never did that before, so I was a bit late putting her down. So she was worried that she mightn't get in. I said, "Well, sure, look, I'll homeschool you if you have to, for a year or whatever." And she was like, "Oh, I don't want to do that, She's like, I said, I'll have you 3 years ahead when you go back. And she says, "Yeah, I know, but I'll be socially 2 years behind,
No, it's true. It's true.
Acting with people.
I mean, in 2020, I gave all of them the option of getting out. My eldest one did actually leave early and went and pursued his dream, which was fabulous. But the others very strongly wanted to hang out with their friends, especially after a period of being locked down, and not going out. There was that weird period as well. So I think they were desperate to get back into school. I hope that's answered your question, Kate. It's not a perfect world. We can't do everything perfectly. We can just try our best.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you cover everything you wanted to talk about of hydration, nutrition? So hydration is massive. Most people are not just dehydrated. They've not got enough what's it called? Salts in them, which is, I did a show about hydration with Ian Clark.
The crystal salts as opposed to refined salt.
Oh yeah, forget refined salt. I'm talking about proper salts.
It's like 100 microminerals in a Himalayan crystal salt and all those crystal salts. Yeah.
Electrolytes. We're all desperately short on electrolytes, and the kids are getting filled up with things like pasta and sugar. Sugar's the biggest problem as well. The amount of sugar they eat.
So look at the breakfast. look at the breakfast, like Cocoa Pops, and it's like, jeez, yeah. But
Breakfast
it's
with
not always easy to get, like, you have to coax your kids into doing the right things, because it's not that easy sometimes.
no, absolutely, and they do things behind your back as well.
Yes, yeah.
I caught one of mine with a Monster drink the other day, and I was just so disappointed in him, and he felt bad. So hopefully he's got the lesson. Anyway, memory mastery, week 8.
Well, hold on. I'm going
you'd
to
pull
go
me back.
teacher on you again. I'm going to go teacher on you again, Mark.
Go on.
You went too quickly there past the heavy metals and the breath span.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, well, we did the breath span already. So, but I'll expand on it a little bit. So if you're basically, an awful lot of kids that are in remedial class, if they've done a year, if they go into track and field for a year, or into the choir or music that's using the breath for a year, it started to be noticed that these kids often went straight out of the remedial class after that, because they suddenly could read complex sentences. They could put two things together long enough before their breath had interrupted, and huge difference, huge. But there's a trick as well, which I go through in the course, and it takes a while to explain, so I won't go do that. But it can be done in 3 weeks, hacking into a kind of a body hack that we have. It's to do with underwater swimming. It's a mammalian diving response, and it will do the same thing in 3 weeks.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that's huge. That's a massive one as well, the breath span. And it's as you said as well, the oxygen and the circulation benefits as well. That's part of it too. Yeah. So kids can be turned around completely with that. With even one of these things, can completely turn around someone's life. Because it's not just about school. It's like, if somebody's short of breath, they actually can't argue very well or debate very well, or and they can't stay with something long enough to extract the meaning from it. Yeah, it's very important. So heavy metals, we know that heavy metals can get into the brain, and they can cause havoc with the wiring and just the health of the brain and how it works.
And and it's very hard to avoid. There's barium, aluminium, all sorts of crap in the air all around us, from the car tires, from everywhere.
Yeah.
And I did a show with I've forgotten the name now. I did a show about bioresonance healing with Helena, and I was surprised to see some heavy metals in my reading, because I've been detoxing from heavy metals using the Touchstone stuff for a couple of years, and I probably
it's zeolites, is it?
Yes, but I'd actually not been taking it for about a month, and because I'd forgotten to put a full bottle on the windowsill where I normally do all my routine, and I remembered that the other day that, oh God, that's crept back in again, because I know that it was at 0 before, and so I actually use that. I spray it into the kids under their tongue whenever they pass me in the kitchen when they come in from school, most of the time. But you reminded me that I need to get back into that habit, because I've not done it in a while.
Yeah. And Chlorella and spirulina are very good for that. The seaweeds.
Yeah.
Or algae. Are they seaweeds technically as well? They're algae anyway.
Yeah. Algae. Yeah.
But that they're excellent for it as well. If you've heavy metals in the brain, they're going to be causing problems for attention, focus, just everything really. They're not good at all, obviously. Aluminium, mercury, things like that. And the autism.
It's good to be aware of this as a parent with your kids, and relating it to learning.
Yeah, because look at the autism problem. It's gone off the charts, like.
Yeah.
And it's all to do with, probably first of all, the thimerosal in the vaccines, which is mercury based. And let's
try not to say the V word on YouTube.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I wasn't even talking about the one, but yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Any of those jibber jabs. Yeah.
I'll probably ban that word next. Cameron 830 says, sweat them out. That's what I do. That's why I have an infrared sauna every morning. and then a shower straight away, because that's pulling them out as well. But good point.
I bought an earth tide machine, a second-hand one, so I got it.
No, I've got one. I've got one. I haven't taken it out of the box yet.
Yeah, I bought it off Mary Claire.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, MC in the house.
MC in the house. I need to. You just thanks for reminding me of that. Sat here in a box.
Yeah, because I did a session with Michael and Julie McKeever, and I was like, "Holy God, that's amazing!" And I felt like so refreshed after it. You've tried it, obviously, have you?
No, it's still in the box.
Have you not? Oh, wait till you try it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been really, really busy.
Sorry, my daughter Hannah's just in from school.
Well, yeah, my kids are going to come in soon, so we better wrap up soon because I've got another interview to do as well. Two more today.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah. So we've three things left. So we're going to memory genius. Memory is the same. It's the same principle as everything we've been talking about. The brain is sensory based, 98% sensory based. So if we take, I give in my free course, I have a free course of this explaining the whole program as well, by the way, guys, which you'll sign up and see that on the website. And it just explains everything. And so the memory, for example, if you're trying to learn, if somebody said to you once every 2 years, the capital of Slovenia is Ljubljana. Did I pronounce that right? Yeah. And if somebody said that to you every 2 years, what are the chances of you remembering that in a quiz if you only heard it once offhand every 2 years? You're not going to remember, unless you're a memory savant or something. Unless you do naturally what I'm about to say now, which is, let's say you went to Slovenia and you spent 2 days in Ljubljana. You're going to have all sorts of sensory experiences and a story connected with that capital city of Slovenia. Sorry, my battery's after fucking. I need to plug in very quick.
Yeah, this happens.
I changed position. The lighting wasn't good where I was.
It's okay. We're just two blokes at home talking. This kind of thing
exactly,
happens, Brian. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and my dog is sitting here as well. What's wrong with you? He's shy today, yeah?
Dogs. We're a dog-friendly show.
Yeah. She's lying down. She's shy today. Normally she's up in there in the middle of the camera. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, if you had a short time in Ljubljana, you'll remember that for your life because it'll be all these sensory experiences. Same way with, the way when we learn language, when you go there and you interact, and it's just so way, way more powerful. So how can we apply that to when we haven't gone there and we have hundreds of bits of things that we need to remember? Like if we're a pilot and we need to remember every capital city in the world or whatever it is, what you would do is you would connect that to an image. So and even draw it out would be even better. And if you draw that out, and then you'd say a picture of lovely Jana from Slovenia, and so it's have a little bit of a quirky twist on the image as well, so it's linked to something else that's memorable, and you'll get it straight away. And then it's a matter of repetition. So if you repeat that at longer and longer intervals, eventually that'll go from short-term to medium-term to long-term memory. And then you'd only have to maybe review it once a year to keep it there, Yeah. And there's free software online that does that. And it's designed with the repetition that they know works for the human brain. And ones that you get wrong, they would repeat them quicker or more regularly until you stop getting them wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So that is another thing that would be hugely beneficial for exams and things like that,
Yep.
That's how we remember, really, is through sensory links and story and that kind of,
Yep. And the memory is actually outside of the brain, isn't it? Our memories are not in the brain; they're outside of the brain. The brain taps into them. That's another subject for another video. Let's move on. I've got to wrap up in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Effective writing, bringing it all together.
Effective writing is basically asking yourself the right questions and then self-expressing stuff that you probably won't write at all, but what you'll do when you've asked the right question, the idea will pop to you of where to start and what to write about. And then that's really useful for nonfiction, for essays, and for even if you are doing a novel or something creative. Asking the right questions, then just randomly expressing on it, and the answers will come to you and the flow will start. And then I have an editing process with people there. That's widely known, really, how to edit anyway. Just read it back to yourself out loud, and things like that. Or put it on a different medium. Read it on your phone, then read it on your laptop. You'll spot things on a different medium. That's how I do it anyway. How do you edit, Mark?
How do I edit?
Yeah, if you wrote something and you wanted to read through it and clean it up.
When I write things at high speed and then go back through. And how do I edit? I don't know how I edit. I just edit. I don't often edit.
There's a first process in the program for editing as well.
Yeah.
That I think is very good. Yeah. Reading out loud is a big one, I find. You start to see the bottlenecks in your writing when you do that.
Yeah. Well, I'm so impatient. I usually just pump it out, and then I go, "Oh shit, I need to change that." Especially with poems. I was always in a rush to get them out, and then I was like, "Oh, I've misspelt this. I've put that wrong. Oh god." That's a good question about that. The true answer is I employ an editor.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's the other way of doing it. Yeah. So the last module is the last thing is the coaching, and that's huge because I give in my program I give one-to-one coaching to everybody in there. Any questions you email me, I give you back the answer. We go through what your goals are, and I'll tell you, and any issues you have, and I'll tell you how to correct those issues more directly. Go for that straight away, and then start to add on the other modules, and then suddenly you'll have the whole thing in place. And we've gone through how powerful each one is. Imagine how powerful it is all together. It's like transformative.
Well, it's great. It's great stuff.
We see those results. We're capable of so much, way more than we ever know.
Yeah. Well, I think the amount of money that I've spent on grinds, as they call them in Ireland, and tutors and all of that. Something like this is great, and I'm glad to see that you're doing something so positive, because it is down to us, and you're doing it. So I applaud you for that, Brian. I thank you for coming onto the show. Thank you guys for watching. I've got another show to record, and I've got live at 6 p.m. GMT today with Janine. And if you've got any questions for her, there's a thread on the Telegram channel. I'll try to read them out. I'll try to read out as many as I can. I've got to go now, Brian. Thank you very much. Give my love to everybody.
Mark. Thank you. And I love Janine. I'll tune into that.
Cheers, mate. Take care.
Yeah. All right. See you, Mark. See you, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.